Hello, you lovely listeners. I'm Amy. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast, where we will delve into the minds of the business people we have met in the process of launching our first card game. We will be uncovering their secrets to success, their biggest mistakes, and sharing the key lessons they have picked up en route. So, if you're looking for an engaging chinwag mixed with business insights and a good pinch of fun, you're in the right place. Let's have a really good conversation. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast. Today I am joined by Michelle Broadbent, a business strategist with over 25 years experience empowering female entrepreneurs across diverse industries. As the founder of the Accountability Circle, Michelle fosters supportive communities where women connect, share experiences, and hold each other accountable. Welcome to the podcast, Michelle.
Amy, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm so delighted you agreed to join me because we do go back a couple of years actually ourselves, and I've certainly, leveraged your wisdom and insights over the years, and particularly when Alex and I were preparing for maternity leave, and as a husband and wife working duo with not traditional maternity leave, that was how on earth are we going to do this, and how are we not going to attempt to juggle and be everything? So I've always valued your guidance and your experience, absolutely. There's obviously so much we could talk about from both your personal journey, but also the work that you do. But I thought we would really delve into the connections and accountability that you see in the work that you do. So firstly, why do you think building strong connections is critical, and especially for women in business?
Look, Amy, I think it's absolutely vital. I don't think that there is a business owner in the land that would deny that building a business on your own, it's lonely. It is. It can feel really, really lonely, really isolating. And I think, like so many things in life, we're not meant to do it alone. Like, yes, you can be a solo business owner, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to walk the path alone. And I think if we're just kind of muddling through, trying to figure it all out of ourselves, we're operating in a bit of a bubble, and having those connections with people who are there in the trenches with you is it's critical. It's critical to success, I think.
Absolutely. And I think certainly even from the journey I've been on just with this podcast alone, and speaking to either other product-based businesses or people who, are operating as an entrepreneur of their own business, we all share a bit of that behind the scenes, often off recording, of the wild roller coaster and some of those moments of, why are we doing this crazy journey? So, I can totally resonate with that. Can you share any examples for yourself personally of how you found connections has transformed your career along the way?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it started right when I actually had the idea, like that little seed of an idea, that little whisper of an idea that I wanted to start a business. So for background, I had been working in the television industry for 12 years before I started my business. I was, I guess, for want of a better word, quite institutionalized. I only knew myself and what I could do and what my value was within that industry, within that world, and in the roles that I did in that world. So the thought of actually, starting my own business, but B, it's like, what am I going to do? Like, I did not know. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I knew I couldn't figure it out while I was working in that world. So I left, and I think one of the most vital connections that I made right from the get-go was actually with a coach that I worked with, and she did not know me. We had no history, no connection, and it was the work that I did with her that really helped me unlock and recognize what my value was to the world outside of what I had, because, I was a TV executive, I was a mom, I was a wife, like all of those other roles that I had. And it's like, okay, what is this going to look like? And having that connection, having that wisdom from someone who just knew all the right buttons to push and all the right questions to ask, but also who had connections, who could help me step into this next stage of my life. And that was 9 years ago, and hands down still just one of my most precious and valued connections in business.
If you think about building relationships with the women that you work with in that connections, how do you see we can build better, authentic relationships without them feeling transactional? Because sometimes when you are on the journey, and we all, I think everybody hates the phrase when they hear it, can I pick your brains? And I think a lot of people cringe, if you will. And I'm always the first person to agree to a phone call and all of that, and probably, allow myself, give people access, shall we say. But there's getting that fine line that sometimes you hold back. You don't want to reach out because you don't want to feel like it is a transactional, I want something from you. How can we work on that?
Yeah, it is, look, that fine line, but something, and I will go back to those early days when I started my business, and I am so incredibly grateful for the women who did agree to have a coffee with me. And I think, if you are feeling a bit cringy, particularly if, as for you and I, Amy, who are further along in our business journey, it's like, remember what it was like to be in those early days and not knowing, not having a clue. I mean, we still don't have a clue, right? Like, we're always learning. We're always learning. And I think that is the thing. So you used, in your question, you actually used the word authentic, and that is the key. It's be yourself. Don't try and be, this shit hot business person that knows everything, kind of like, it's okay not to know everything. It's okay not to have all the answers. And imagine if someone came to you and asked, like, genuinely for help in that authentic way. It's really hard to say no to that. But I think that having boundaries and being respectful of people's time. So there's that old adage around, like, business building. It's like, it's a little bit like dating. So don't try and get married on the first date. Don't, don't propose your life plan and your plan for children and where are we going to live and all of, you're not going to do that on a first date. So don't do that on that sort of first ask. And don't use the phrase, can I pick your brain? I think it's being really clear about what it is that you want to get out of that ask. So, like, what is the ask? And sometimes even just having to define that and saying, hey, Amy, would you mind? And is it a coffee? Could it be an email? Or is it like, I've got a meeting in your building. Could I grab you for 15 minutes before I go into that meeting, or whatever? But I think it's being respectful of people's time and acknowledging that for a lot of us, for us service-based businesses, it sounds a bit crude, but time is money. So it's like, remember what you are actually asking. Are you asking for professional advice that you should actually be paying for? Or is this just a little nugget that you can get? But yeah, buying me a $5 coffee doesn't equate to what I could potentially be earning if you were paying for my professional services. So, but I'm always I always go back to the early days of those people that helped me, and it's like paying it forward. But there is a limit, so it's having boundaries.
A lot of the people you work with are women. What are the top 3 challenges you consistently see female entrepreneurs facing today?
Okay. I think if you'd have asked me this question a year ago, it'd probably be looking a little bit different, because the current problem is cash flow. So this is a really big thing where once upon a time, people were paying up front. People were paying their bills on time. Right now, consistently across the board, people are struggling with cash flow. And then that has a knock-on effect into so many other areas of business. The other one, this is a tale as old as time, people, people, team, getting that right support in their business is an ongoing challenge for so many business owners. And when I do have those examples of people who do have superstars in their team, incredible, humming along beautifully team, it's like I want to bottle it up, and God, if I could sell it, I would be a multi-millionaire. Getting that right support, having a great team. And then the other one, which is consistent, is time to work on the priorities, to really be able to give the priorities the space that they need. So time to work on the business as opposed to getting caught up in the weeds and in, that sort of hands-on stuff in the business.
Yeah. And it's great to hear those answers from you, because I think a lot of people are probably nodding along listening to this, and it is refreshing if we go back to having that, connection and network, that you can share all of that in. It helps you realize, okay, it's not just me in this situation. Right. Yeah. It's a common problems that many people.
That's the power of connection, Amy, is having those conversations. We talked at the top of the episode about not doing this alone. When you realize that you are not the only person that's struggling with cash flow, or you are not the only person who is struggling to get great support in your business, even whilst that may not necessarily solve your problem straight away, there is comfort in that.
Yeah.
And we need that in our lives.
Yeah. Do you think there's any particular hurdles that you see that do hold women back more than men?
I do, yeah. And this is awful, but women are notoriously bad at asking for help. Something that we all struggle with. It is that nurturing gene that we have, that it's like we are the caretakers. Men are helpful. They're great.
But when you tell them what to do.
Exactly. That's right. You hear that. How can I help, honey? By not asking me this question.
Proactively taking the rubbish out. Proactively putting the laundry on.
But I think we're just as women, is it the martyr gene as well? But we are terrible. We are not great. It is something that we really have to work on. Whereas I notice with guys, they just don't hesitate. It's just, and so a little, sort of challenge that I sometimes give myself is when I catch myself. It could be when I'm in the middle of responding to a request or an email or something like that. I'll check myself and just go, how would a guy approach this? How would a man, how would I do this differently if I wasn't female? And I tend to remove a lot of words.
I was just about to say, if it was my emails, it was
one word. Yes.
It would go from excellent. Yeah. If it was my emails, it would go from 3 paragraphs to 2 words.
Exactly.
But I do like detail, Yeah. I like to think, Alex and I have this conversation if we're storytelling or in a conversation with someone. Yeah. And Alex, especially if we're there together and he'll jump to different parts of the story, I like to tell a story in chronological order with details, because I like to pass on the info to reduce the amount of additional questions.
Yeah.
Because you're saying it and the person's like, oh, but then what? And then what? I'm like, if I just tell it.
Just tell the whole story up front. That's right.
But yeah, I know that can be a bit more long-winded. But tell us a bit more about accountability. I mentioned in our intro that you are founder of the Accountability Circle. So what does accountability mean to you?
Well, to me, it's essentially declaring your intentions or your goals or your plans to someone and having them keep you on track, to hold you to those promises that you make to yourself.
Yeah, because I see it so much in my own life. I, signed up to a gym challenge. I signed up to golf lessons. I signed up to this thing. Now, I was there at the gym and I was practicing the golf before the next lesson for that fear of being called out. And Alex actually said, Amy, if you were so accountable to yourself as much as you are to other people, like imagine all the stuff you would achieve. Do you have any insights on why are we more accountable to other people than ourselves?
Because so there are personality archetypes, and you would be an obliger. Like that would be your personality. So as an obliger, and like there's four. This is a framework that Gretchen Rubin, who is the author of Better Than Before, she's got a brilliant body of work. But it's a framework that she has basically categorized the population into. So there's obligers, upholders, questioners, and rebels. And the majority of people are obligers, which means we are more likely to uphold a promise that we've made to somebody else or a commitment that we've made to somebody else than we are to ourselves. Alex is probably an upholder if he's saying, why can't you just do it yourself? So upholders, they uphold promises to other people, but they are really good at upholding their own, as it says on the tin, upholding the commitments to themselves. So because so many people they're counting on other people to count on them in order to do things. That's why PT, you talk about your gym challenge, like PTs exist, tennis coaches exist, tennis clubs exist, where you think of like the competition or team sport. I need to show up because my team is counting on me. And that's the power of accountability. And the thing coming back to that, operating a business alone, there's no one breathing down your neck. Like your clients want things from you, but if it's goals that you've set for yourself and your business that literally impact nobody else but you, then who's holding you to account there? So it's really easy to let that stuff slide and then take care of everyone else's requests, because as the obliger that you would be, Amy, and I am absolutely like a card-carrying obliger myself, I will always uphold my promise to somebody else. It's just the way that we are wired.
You probably really answered this next question of why business owners do struggle to be accountable, even when they know it helps themselves.
That's right. And usually what sort of kicks them into action is declaring it to somebody else and having someone, checking in on them. And it could be a something else as well. Like it could be human accountability, but there's all sorts of fantastic technology and apps, they say there's an app for everything, but there's apps to keep you on track with your habits and things like that. So it could be that sort of accountability as well as the human kind. But I think as business owners, there is so much that we could do, and that's a bigger problem as well. So it's having someone who really just cares about you and your success to keep you on track.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you did touch just there on potentially a couple of practical techniques people could use or could consider, but have you got a couple of additional tips you could share to our listeners that if they are trying to stay accountable on some of their goals, where they could start with that accountability?
Yeah. So first and foremost, tell someone. Declare your goals to someone. That absolutely increases your chances of achieving them. But that someone needs to be someone that you trust and someone that understands what it is that you are trying to achieve. So, our family and our partners are wonderful people, but in terms of business goals, they may not necessarily be the best person to hold you to account. You might have a health goal or a fitness goal, like getting someone who sort of understands that space, who you can trust, who's got your best interest at heart. That is like, top tip kind of thing. But like I said, there's the apps that you could use, but having some kind of tracking system for yourself. And that could be as manual as, a Post-it note on your desk that you tick off each time you do something or make incremental action towards something, or habit trackers. There's so many things available that you could utilize. And the other thing too is like just having your goals where you can see them is another thing. Out of sight, out of mind. Often, you think of New Year's resolutions. You think, like, I run business planning days. So people go into these things and, they have a really kind of uplifting day and they're surrounded by really motivated people and the energy is super high, and then they walk out of the room and real life gets in the way, and all those amazing plans that they made get shoved in a drawer somewhere, never to be seen again, or, they look back at them at the end of the year and go, oh my God, I didn't do any of that. So make sure that if you have big plans or even small plans, like, have them somewhere where you can see them, and make sure that you make time to work on them. I think people are like, I just can't find the time. It's like, you're not going to find it. It's not going to appear. You need to make the time. You need to schedule the time. So I think that's really important too.
Yeah, and I'm nodding along with all this because we are great at doing planning documents, strategic documents, but they remain often as a digital document on the Google Drive.
That's the importance of human accountability. It's like declaring your next action. Like, it's first of all knowing what that action is and declaring it to someone. And that's a big part of what I do with the women in my accountability circles. It's like, you don't leave that room until you have declared what that next action is, and it's the first thing that you're asked about the next time we gather. So it's like you've got nowhere to hide.
Yes. They're all such useful just tips, I hope, for anyone listening. And if that works business or life, what you've just been sharing, that's
why things like, you think of book, like I'm a member of a book club, and there are women in, like, I've always loved to read, and the reason I joined book club was so that I read different books. So I wasn't just kind of reading the same thing all the time. But there are women in my book club that never read, like never, ever, ever read. But because we meet every 6 weeks and we talk about the book, you don't want to be the person that shows up at the book club not having read the book or not having finished the book. And, there's always the WhatsApp group as people are like, oh my God, I've got 2 chapters to go and we're meeting tomorrow night and when am I going to finish it? But it doesn't just have to be business related, life stuff as well.
Yes, fantastic. And before we move on to some of the questions from our Really Good Conversations pack, I will just get a bit further insight about, when we think of women and the whole work-life balance area. Obviously, you do work, as we said, predominantly with women, but what are some of the common misconceptions that you see women have about a work-life balance?
That it exists. Look, I just think this balance piece it's tricky, right? It's more of an emerging, a blend. Nothing exists in isolation, I think is and as business women, we are wearing so many different hats. We are, we're running our business. We may be caring for children, family members. We want to be a good friend, a good daughter, a good, community member. There's all the different things that we do, and they do all impact one another. So I think instead of trying to strike a balance, it's being able to identify like what is important at any given time. And a saying that I lean on a lot is like, it's wherever you are, be all there. So don't try to cook the dinner with a toddler screaming at your ankles while answering really important emails. Like that's kind of a recipe for disaster, really. I just think it's trying to silo things, but that balance. Getting sweary again, but the balance is bullshit.
Yeah. And it's refreshing to hear. It's refreshing to hear from you that, one, you work with a lot of, people in business, but you're also walking and have walked the path yourself with a family and daughters. Yeah. That, this golden nugget that people may be looking for, actually no one has it.
They don't. And even the ones that appear to, because I see behind the scenes and I know that they don't, and they're usually the biggest offenders. It's like they're the ones that are having an actual nervous breakdown in the background, but front facing, everything's polished and sunshine and rainbows. So that's something that I am a huge believer is sharing the reality of what it is like to build a business and have other responsibilities. And I work with a lot of women who don't have children, but their lives are full and they have other responsibilities. So, I don't like that whole thing of like, oh, well, you're not a mum, what would you understand? And then it's like, no, we are all in the same ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, what's one of the most impactful pieces of advice either you've received or given about succeeding in business?
So this is something from very early days, and I know that I heard it on a podcast, and it was just something that stuck with me, and it is, don't climb the mountain until you are on it. So something can appear so huge, so overwhelming, so challenging, and if you are looking at like the whole mountain, it's like you're not even going to start, right? Whereas if you just focus on that first step and then the next step, and you might take 20 steps and, some hot guy on a motorbike might come along and scoop you up and pop you on the back and ride you up to the top, or a helicopter might come. Like, you just don't know, right? So just like one thing at a time, one day at a time. And business, as you and I both know, Amy, you can be at the top of the world one day, 1 minute, 1 hour, and then the next, the disaster may strike. So it's like the good let's celebrate the great, but knowing that sometimes we're going to have to really lean on those memories of the good times when the bad times come. But that's all part of this roller coaster that we have agreed to ride as business owners.
And there's not really a stop button.
There's no like emergency, like on the escalators when you just press stop. It's like, no, we're not going anywhere. Like, there's not one of those on this roller coaster.
Oh, so true. So true. Oh, thank you so much for just sharing so many insights of what, you do see behind the scenes. So I'll now jump into 3 questions from our really good conversations, put you on the spot.
Put me on the spot, yep.
Question number 1. What is one of your pet hates?
Oh, pet hates. Hoverers.
Oh,
people that hover around, like, we touched on it before. What can I do to help? Nothing. Go away. Hovering.
I love that. Question number 2, and you did mention working in a TV career previously. Who is the most famous person you have met in real life?
Oh, so I have, I sound like a dick, but I have met a lot of famous people. Most famous, God, off the top of my head, Keith Urban. I'm going to say Keith Urban just because of that wide exposure. But a lot of, I worked, the Osbournes they're probably like huge. So I worked on the first MTV VMAs here in Australia. So they had a huge, and I worked, I was literally talent hoarding, moving them from one spot to the next. So it was pretty cool. It was really fun. So yes, I did meet a lot of very famous people there, but I'd probably say that was my, I mean, when I say met, I mean actual have a conversation.
Yes.
I have met Jennifer Aniston, who is my absolute girl crush, but that was literally just shake hands on a red carpet. It wasn't a conversation with her. So.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I could just imagine if you're having this conversation with your daughters, they would not be at all excited or impressed. They'd be like, who's that?
You know what? I've somehow instilled it into my daughter because she, for parents of young children, they would probably know of the Norris Nuts, right? They're massive YouTube stars. Like, she and her friends went and hunted them down in the last school holidays. Like, that's her, like, that would be her answer to this question. He's a most fun person. Like, she's literally hyperventilating, sending you videos of her crying, having met them. So, yeah, I did. I have to say, whenever I have met any of these people, I have managed to maintain composure. Yes.
Do you know what's terrible? I'm going to have to Google who those people are that you're talking about, because I don't know.
Older, and he will. But yeah, ask any primary school age child, and they will know who they are. Yeah.
Wow.
Big YouTubers.
And question number 3. If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
Curing illness, like, literally being able to wave a magic wand and make people better, like cancer and awful things, life-limiting disease. Just be able to wave my magic wand and cure that, definitely.
That's fantastic. Oh, thank you. They are all great answers. And there's actually so many questions in the pack that I was like, I could ask Michelle this one. Oh, this one. So, yes, we'll have to, at another time, go through plenty of questions and a coffee or a wine. And the last question I love to ask all of our guests is, if you could ask any person, dead or alive, a question, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Oh, this like my instinctual response to this would be, I'd just love to talk to my nan again. Like, my nan died while my second daughter was quite young. So, so much has happened in my life since she died. So I think I'd just ask, how am I doing? How am I doing? Yeah, that would be what I would want to ask her.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Oh, Michelle, it's been so good to have this chat with you. How can our listeners find out a little bit more about what you do? I know we only really touched on the surface of some of the specifics of your work, but people can obviously look you up and find out more and get involved.
Yeah, so best place to find me, like, if you want to read all about what I do, just visit my website, which is michellebroadbent.com.au. I'm on LinkedIn, Michelle Broadbent, and also on Instagram as well. So, yeah, happy to connect there.
Brilliant. I'll include all of those links. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information on today's guests. And if really good conversations are your thing, hit subscribe and join us next time for more business journeys, insights and banter.